Feraligatr fires off the Hydro Cannon, forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield. We throw one Shadow Claw and the next Hydro Cannon. This will get Ampharos deep into the red. The opponent going to be forced to dump energy. We're going to put it all on Hitmonchan. Trailblaze secures a knocker and vamps up their attack. Back out comes Hitmonchan. We get the counter farm down, leave on minimal HP. Trevenant looks for the Shadow Claw farm down. They don't get there. We reach the Ice Punch and Hitmonchan is a Trevenant counter confirmed. Welcome back to the channel. Yesterday I did set a like goal. I said if my video yesterday got 500 likes, I would elite TM my Shadow Hitmonchan to Brick Break. Of course, Brick Break did get buffed this season, although isn't the best move. You guys held up your part of the deal, so here we are. I've elite TM'd it and we're going to send it to battle. If you've been following the channel for a while, you know I love to run Fighter double Dark Poison because fighters hate to see two things, Ghost and Psychic types. However, this season, of course, Feraligatr got a huge buff, so Skuntank has been benched in favour of the new meta monster Feraligatr, and Drapion is going to be running with the buffed Aqua. Normally, I'm very against running Aqua, but it did get buffed, so let's see how it does in the Open Ultra League. Without any further ado, let's get into the battles. And in Game 1, we're not off to the best start. We see the fighter that beats the other fighters. We see the instant pivot into Drapion. The opponent build up some energy. As they continue to stay in, I'm going to look to get off some very solid chip damage with the crunch. The opponent tank the crunch, then pivot out into Feraligatr. This Feraligatr is going to be here, there, and every fucking where, as it is so good. We fire off the crunch. Crunch lands for decent damage. The opponent counting is absolutely on point. Despite me being at rank 10, my win rate is pretty good, and these players aren't quite all potatoes. My Drapion is a 0, 15-15, a rank 1, repping that best buddy badge. We're able to withstand the Hydro Cannon, force a Protect Shield, and now we've got a shield advantage for our own Feraligatr. I send back in Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan, dead weight against Annihilate. We're going to tank the charge move. Hydro Cannon does land. Hitmonchan going to get the full counter farm down, and it's time to pivot. The opponent has enough for a close combat or Shadow Ball, but honestly, who's going to YOLO a Hail Mary? At such a low health Hitmonchan, despite having 2 shields, I tank the first move. And of course, you never want to shield the first one in case the opponent boosts. The opponent continues to stay in. So with that in mind, I'm just going to look to 2 shield, Shadow Claw farm all the way down and leave at 1 bazillion energy. Well, actually 80, but it's close enough. It now becomes very apparent the opponent didn't want to see Feraligatr in the back. We throw 2 Shadow Claws and the Hydro Cannon. The opponent tanked the first move. We're even going to outpace him to 2 more before they reach their next move. The opponent recognised the game's over, just let the own gator go down, and that's going to be all she wrote. In the next battle, another battle of fighters. We don't fancy too much. We count to 4, catch a Leaf Blade onto Drapion where it is going to be resisted. The opponent answers my Shadow Drapion save switch with Feraligatr, which is by no means a good response. Feraligatr is so lethal this season, as the combination of Shadow Claw and Hydro Cannon just chunks everything that doesn't resist Ghost. Drapion happens to be one of them threats. So you can see the opponent is not going to be able to Shadow Claw farm me down. They're going to be forced to throw, which they do smartly on the CMP side, denying me my second crunch. As we got the defense drop the first time, I'm hoping the very attack weighted Shadow Hitmonchan can counter down in 5. However, that is going to be a very tough task. I throw 5 counters. They're nowhere near lethal. So I'm going to throw the resisted Ice Punch, not revealing my second move. Ice Punch secures the knockout and it's time to pivot. Back out comes Gallade, and then the opponent pivots out into their basic bitch tin can. Feraligatr, it's time to see what you can do. The first Hydro Cannon lands. The opponent going to be able to outpace me to the potential Zap Cannon, and please don't debuff me. The RNG gods say, Jamie Finn, today is your lucky day. We don't get debuffed. The super spammy Feraligatr gonna fire off the next Hydro Cannon. The opponent choose not to invest the Protect Shield. We get the Shadow Claw farm down. Back out comes Gallade. We're gonna fire off the Hydro Cannon. Of course, the opponent gonna be forced to start shielding. Hydro Cannon does force that Protect Shield. The opponent throw the Leaf Blade. They're now 4 off the next. Looking at my health, I'm thinking, surely we survive a Leaf Blade. So I'm gonna pivot after banking the Hydro Cannon into Hitmonchan. However, the opponent very smartly go for the undercharge. Hitmonchan does reach the Ice Punch. This, of course, will force the final protection as moment of truth. Can Shadow Feraligatr tank a Leaf Blade? We've got the move bank. Let's go, Gator. You're in the green. Surely this doesn't knock out. Fuck my life. And we're still going to take a loss despite catching 2 charge moves. GG's to that opponent. So for those of you wondering, Ice Punch actually does 46% to Gallade. So I could have quite easily won that battle. Just thrown the Hydro Cannon. As soon as I got it, forced the final shield, allowed Gators to go down, Ice Punch Gallade, and won. However, we like to make pointless catches for no reason whatsoever, other than I think it's entertaining. Speaking of which, we see Dragonite in the lead. Of course I go for the catch, because why not? The Shadow Drapion save switch manages to force a Protect Shield off Dragonite. We've gained shield advantage, and Gator up shields is just ruthless. I think I might actually ban myself from using this Pokemon. I've used it for one day, and I think it's just too good. We send back at Hitmonchan. To my surprise, the opponent invests that final Protect Shield, then pivot out into Jellicent, and my god, is it Gator time. Gator with shield advantage is just such a ruthless pick. We shield up the Shadow Ball. I'm then going to throw 4 Shadow Claws and the Hydro Cannon for optimal fast move time, and of course 2 turn into 3 turn, 1, 4 or 7, with the exception of this next play. They're going to be 2 hexes off the next charge moves. I throw 3, throw on the CMP tie, which we win. Get that Jellicent off my screen. The opponent's final Pokemon is Ampharos. Of course, Ampharos is hitting us for super effective, but Shadow Feraligatr does not care. Hydro Cannon lands for massive damage. The opponent then throw on the CMP tie, and this is an easy shield for me. I'm going to shield this move up. Switch timer has popped up. So once I knock out this thing with the Hydro Cannon, I'm going to pivot back out into Hitmonchan, outpace to the Ice Punch, and Hitmonchan is going to clean up. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see the battle of fighters. This fighter doesn't necessarily beat the other fighters, so we're happy to see it here. I'm going to throw the Brick Break on the CMP tie to the potential Icy Wind. Brick Break, of course, is going to lower their defense. We can survive an Icy Wind, but I'm actually going to look to shield this move up. We're going to count to 6, look to catch the next Ice Punch onto Drapion. However, the opponent actually save switches into Ampharos. So we build up some energy, bank the next Brick Break, then send out Drapion. Most Ampharos actually run Trailblaze and Brutal Swing. It could be Brutal Swing, Thunder Punch, maybe Focus Blast, but regardless, Drapion's usually pretty good. Drapion is going to operate at this team primarily as the damage sponge. The opponent is indeed on Brutal Swing and Trailblaze. I'm going to farm up, throw the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail will be lethal. The opponent, of course, not willing to shield the low health Ampharos. Back out comes Poliwrath, and we're going to go for the Crunch. Of course, both moves are resisted, but Crunch does do more and gives us a chance of a defense drop, which we managed to get. We're now going to send out Feraligatr to operate as the damage sponge, unless his opponent's got Dynamic Punch, which I doubt. Everything's going to be resisted. The opponent fire off the Scald, then pivot into Zapdos. If I was the opponent, I would have pivoted immediately, as they've given us an energy lead. Hydro Cannon forces the Protect Shield. They opt to throw the Drill Peck. Of course, Feraligatr has done its job. We're just going to let it go down. We're going to be able to outpace him to the double Ice Punch. Win con for the opponent at this stage is probably calling a bait. We've already shown them Brick Break. We throw the Ice Punch. The opponent looks to call the bait. We don't bait, and we take that game. In the next battle, we see one of the main reasons I hate running Aqua Tail on Drapion. And here's another reason why I don't run Aqua Tail, because Mandibuzz is such a miserable matchup. Although hold that thought, it was miserable last season, now it does more damage. Is this actually flippable? Let's find out. Regardless, it's going to be such a long, boring matchup. Fucking hell, I hate this flying Umbreon. Even in the Great League, it's insanely bulky. Maxed out all the way at level 50, it can literally tank about 2 bazillion hits. Although on a more serious note, when you're stuck in these super long, boring matchups, it's important that you continue to be disciplined. If I do want to flip this, I'm going to need to make sure I throw out 1, 4 or 7 all the way and not give Mandibuzz any free snarls. You can see this next Aerial Ace won't be lethal, and it looks like because I threw it disciplined timing throughout, we're actually going to win the 0 shields or force a shield advantage. I suppose buffed Aqua Tail is proving its worth right here. Is the opponent going to fight for switch? They are not, and Drapion without Sludge Bomb can actually flip Mandibuzz. I am shocked. I believe the opponent's on 9 Water Guns, so just after reach the Hydro Cannon, they should have enough for the Moonblast, and it looks like they throw it instantly. Or at least they're at it. I am going to respect it, and of course the opponent bait me, because who doesn't love baiting Shadow Pokemon? Brutal. However, as the opponent's staying in, they can't like Feraligatr, because this is actually not a good matchup for them. As our Shadow Claws are hitting for neutral, whereas their Water Guns are resisted, the opponent continued to stay in, and they 2-shield. I'm going to respect it. Please don't bait me twice. The opponent this time choose not to kill a poor defenseless cat. This now is a perfect opportunity to massively overfarm. We farm up to the double Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon is resisted, but enough to knock out Tapu Fini. The opponent's final Pokemon is Charizard, and my god, is Charizard in for a rough day. It looks like the opponent has force closed the app, and I really can't blame them, as I don't fancy the work of Gator. Hydro Cannon nearly one-shots. We Shadow Claw farm down and take that game. In the next battle, we see Hitmonchan into Trevenant. Ice Punch will be hitting for super effective, although our counters are double resisted. I count to 7, look to catch a Shadow Ball onto Drapion. We don't catch successfully, but the opponent does opt to chip and dip and then send out Walrein. Walrein, Drapion, pretty neutral to be honest. If they throw an Earthquake, it will one-shot after the chip damage. So we're going to look to farm up, throw the crunch on the CMP tie, to the potential earthquake crunch, force a protect shield, and at this stage just have my Drapion trainer. But if you bait, you're going to be sad. The opponent throw the icicle sphere, Drapion withstands the damage. The opponent looks for the full powder snow farm down. Rank 1 Drapion refuses to die, reaches one further crunch, getting yet another defense drop. I'm going to send back at Hitmonchan. Of course I would have won CMP, however this energy is going to be so much more useful at the return and Trevenant. We tank the icicle sphere, back out comes Trevenant. The opponent already down one protect shield. Ice Punch goes unshielded, and just look at the damage. That doesn't even get same type attack bonus, and we're going to pivot into Feraligatr. The opponent once again look to chip and dip or force a protect shield, then send out Ampharos. So 2 turn into 4 turn. Of course, you just want to throw an odd number, so I opt to throw after 7. The first Hydro Cannon forces the opponent's final protect shield. Again, we're going to one and throw, and this Hydro Cannon is going to land for some very solid chip damage. I've now got a tough decision to make. This is a Shadow Hitmonchan showcase, so we're going to put it all on Hitmonchan. The opponent fire off the Trailblaze, vamping up their attack. Hitmonchan survives the Volt Switch, gets the counter farm down. Trevenant looks for the Shadow Claw farm down, but Hitmonchan says no, reaches the Ice Punch, and we take that game. In the next battle, finally we see a good lead. I'll be honest, it's not even a good lead. It's probably the absolute dream lead. You couldn't ask for a better one. The opponent safe switch into Gliscopod. I go into Drapion. I'm unsure if this is the right play. And as soon as they got the defense drop, I definitely think I made the wrong switch. Drapion fires off the crunch, goes unshielded. I'm going to throw the aqua out, and the thought process behind this is I used to use a hundo, and if the opponent threw after 5, after not getting the defense drop, we would survive. So I thought maybe a rank 1 would survive. We get off the aqua with some chip damage. I could send in Hitmonchan, get the counter farm down, and not reveal my third. However, that didn't happen. So we're going to send in Gator now. X-Scissor does so much damage. My god, does this Gliscopod hit hard. So despite hard winning lead, we're actually in a tricky spot. We're going to fire off the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon does some very good chip damage. We send out Hitmonchan. We do manage to get a very nice counter off, which will put them into Hydro Cannon range. The opponent's final Pokemon is Gallade, and this looks so tough. We're going to go for the Brick Break bait. Brick Break, force the protect shield. Okay. The opponent even let me get off the Ice Punch. I'm looking to knock out. Last time, we know it does 46%. The Ice Punch would have been lethal. That should be Shadow Claw farm down range. This is going to be close. We've still got 1 protect shield, 2 high beyond. I send out Gator. I am going to, of course, shield this up. We're going to look to Shadow Claw farm down. Throw the Hydro Cannon at Obstagoon. The opponent pivot back out into Obstagoon. We throw the Hydro Cannon on the CMP tie. Despite playing that mid game really poorly, we are going to survive and take that game. GG's to that opponent. 2 good leads in a row. I know certain content creators would be loving this. However, for some reason, when I win lead, I seem to make games so much more complicated than they need to be. So I think I prefer just to lose lead and try and play around. The opponent safe switch into Typhlosion. We knock them straight out with the Hydro Cannon. Back out comes Guzzlord. We're going to throw the Ice Beam. The question is, does the opponent respect the damage? Ice Beam goes unshielded. Feraligatr, have a day off, buddy. It's supposed to be a Hitmonchan showcase. Moving swiftly on. Normal service has resumed with a very terrible lead. You can see we get quite a lot of lag, so I'm going to quickly toggle down, turn off my Wi-Fi, and hope my 4G is better than my absolutely crappy UK internet. The opponent throw the Dragon Claw. We're going to return fire with the Ice Punch. I think I actually caught up, so we're going to look to make the catch onto Drapion. We do successfully catch despite that lag. The opponent answers my Drapion safe switch with Tentacruel. A very nice shiny. I think Tentacruel last season was the best mon in the entire meta, and even this season is going to be pretty good. So if you want to climb, I'd recommend Mr. Squidworth. I am actually going to respect a potential Scald. I would have actually survived that, but the thought process is that I need to start getting some shields off the opponent, as Gator will do better into Giratina. Will be more likely to land an Ice Beam if we can get some shields out the way. We managed to get the defense shot. We're then going to throw the Aqua Tail on the CMP tie, just to get off some chip damage. Luckily for me, the opponent does play to the CMP type. They do not win. Shout out to the GOAT, Homeslice Henry, for that quote. It's a good job he's my faction's teammate, as I love to steal his lines. We're now going to send out Feraligatr once again. Look to throw the Hydro Cannon on the CMP tie, which will be securing the knockout. We've got a little bit of residual energy, good to go. The opponent now send out Tapu Fini, and I'm thinking, fuck, what do I do with Hitmonchan? So we're going to throw 10 Shadow Claws, look to catch the potential Moonblast onto Hitmonchan. The last battle I complained that Feraligatr was still in the limelight, but I think in this battle I've kind of got no choice but to sack Hitmonchan. Back out comes Gator. We throw the Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon does land. We're then going to look to throw the next Hydro Cannon just before they get to the surf. This really needs to knock out or we're in trouble. The opponent survived quite literally on 1 HP and a dream, and I'm going to be forced to shield, because if I don't, we're going to get Shadow Claw farm down. When Giratina does return, it's the bait game. Do I full send? Do I bait? I rarely bait, but this time I thought, fuck it. The opponent's going to shield, and they do. We managed to reach the Ice Beam on the CMP tie, and Gator once again bails us out. GG's, and thanks for playing. Shadow Feraligatr was just a cheat code. Holy. In the next battle, we see another Giratina. This one is on Dragon Breath, so it's objectively worse. We're going to reach the Ice Punch and the Dragon Claw at the same time, 12 turns each. The opponent invests that Protect Shield, and we're going to pivot into Drapion. It looks like the opponent is looking to chip and dip. They throw the Dragon Claw, doesn't do all that much damage, then send out Swampert. So Shadow Drapion can two-shot Swampert if you get the defense drop the first time. However, unfortunately, we do not. The opponent smartly throws on the CMP type. The Hundo I have retired would get knocked out from here, but the rank 1 manages to withstand the damage, make the second crunch. However, if the opponent's smart, they aren't going to shield as this won't knock out. The opponent's just going to get some free farm. However, as we've got shield advantage, we're going to send out Hitmonchan, look to tank the Hydro Cannon. As it's non-shadow, we will survive. Then we're going to pivot into Gator to get a run and start. We send out Gator. Gator gets the Shadow Claw farm down. We've got a 2-to-1 shield advantage and residual energy, good to go. The opponent thinking about what they want to send out, send back out Giratina. Of course, we can survive a Dragon Claw. However, we do need to be mindful. We don't want to get fast move beat down. I shield at the Dragon Claw, over farm, and this time there is no baiting. Does the opponent respect the damage? Ice Beam? Oof, goes shielded. We can survive this move. However, I'm going to look to keep Gator healthy. Whatever got in the back clearly doesn't want to see it. I'm going to then look to over farm. The opponent then send out Talonflame. I look to throw 2 and the Hydro Cannon. However, I throw on alignment like an absolute potato. However, I'm just going to bank the Ice Beam snipe with Hitmonchan. Back out comes Giratina. Hitmonchan is going to reach the Ice Punch, which is pretty irrelevant at this stage, as Gator absolutely does not lose CMP. But make sure you clip that, because every time I've gone about optimal fast move timing, you can say, Jamie, I remember that battle where you threw on alignment like an absolute potato. Moving on to the next one. Dreadful lead. We're going to see the instant pivot into Drapion. The opponent send out Cobalion, which of course is also dreadful for Drapion. However, one of the few matchups where Aqua has always been preferred, because both Crunch and Sludge Bomb would be resisted due to their fighting Dark typing. After that horrible alignment throw in the last battle, let's see if I manage to throw at 1, 4 or 7 at this Cobalion, which is always super important to be disciplined. The opponent probably going to look to farm up a boatload of energy. You can see these buffed Aqua Tails really start to add up. The opponent then get greedy, play to the CMP tie, and this is beautiful. Drapion actually manages to force a Protect Shield here. Best case scenario. That's a prime example of getting super greedy or fuck around and find out. The opponent goes to the full undercharge, but regardless, we got shield advantage, which is exactly what we want for the lethal Feraligatr. Despite my Hitmonchan being maxed all the way to level 50.5, it isn't all that bulky, but we do tank 2 Sacred Swords. We tank both. We look to pivot. The opponent temporarily sends out Charizard, then pivot out into Giratina. Again, I'm going to full send. Does the opponent respect the damage? They do not. Look at that huge damage. Let's go, Gator. And just like that, this game's over. We're going to shield one move. We're going to tank the next. Look to double up. You know the drill. When Charizard does return, the first Hydro Cannon will be forcing the opponent's final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to be all she wrote. The opponent might just let it go, recognising we're doubled up. The opponent clearly wants the smoke, so we're going to give it to him. It's going to be high Charizard, bye Charizard. Get that Charizard out of here, and Gator sweeps once again. In the next battle, we see Gallade in the lead again. Of course, not a great matchup. I'm going to build up some energy, look to catch the Leaf Blade, but this opponent read me like a book, hold their energy, and now we're going to have to tank a close combat to their phase. We actually tanked that reasonably well. The opponent then send out Feraligatr. That close combat didn't put me in Shadow Claw farm down range, so we land the Crunch. The opponent doesn't actually over farm. They throw the Hydro Cannon instantly. We're not really in the best spot, to be honest. We haven't got shield advantage, and this Gator is still very healthy. We're going to send out Hitmonchan. I'm going to throw the Brick Break on the CMP tie. Brick Break, not the best move, but will be securing the knockout. The opponent actually give up that shield. Okay. We get ourselves shield advantage. We're going to tank the move, put it all on Gator. I'm so sorry for everyone watching. Gator is just so good. As much as I'd love to showcase Hitmonchan, I do actually want to win some battles. The opponent send out Empoleon. Can Gator sweep once again? These Steel Wings are resisted. These Shadow Claws hit for neutral, and we've got a 2-to-1 shield advantage. I'm going to shield up the Drill Peck. As we've got so much residual energy, once again, We're looking primed to sweep. I farm up, throw one before the opponent reaches the next drill peck. The opponent sends back out Gallade, but Gallade isn't going to be able to outpace the 2 leaf blades before we reach 2 Hydro Cannons. The first Hydro Cannon forces the final Protect Shield, and the second one is going to be all she wrote. So if you learned anything from today's video, don't spend 700,000 dust and an Elite TM on Hitmonchan. Just build Gator, which is non-excel and absolutely brutal. That was going to be the end of today's video. But after I shoutcast the battles that you've seen so far, I recognise that Feraligatr absolutely stole the show. So we're going to make some strange plays and look to get some more value out of Hitmonchan. We shield up the Icy Wind despite the fact I would survive. We're then going to catch the next Icy Wind onto Drapion, banking all of our energy, saving it hopefully to do something useful in the end game. I'm hoping I can Poison Sting farm down. I recognise that isn't happening. Poliwrath far too ticked, so we throw the Aqua Tail, just looking to get it off my screen. Aqua Tail does secure the knockout. The opponent then send out Ampharos. However, with a lowered attack, this matchup is going to be quite tricky as 2 crunches get nowhere near knocking out. Shadow Drapion is the channel mascot. It's just so good in Ultra League. The Shadow is able to 2-shot so many things in neutral matchups with 2 crunches, which only takes you 10 turns. Ampharos is one of them threats, but you can see with a 1-stage debuff that doesn't happen. We send back our Hitmonchan. We're able to win the charge move prior event Ampharos with a high attack for Hitmonchan. Even higher, we secure the knockout. The opponent's final Pokemon is Talonflame, aka the Kentucky Fried Chicken, Bird of Death. It's quite an easy win for the opponent. Go straight fly or brave bird. The opponent masturbate like an absolute potato, and today they're going to find out a valuable lesson of when not to bait. If we were still running Waterfall, I'd understand the opponent thinking, if I lowered my defense, if they've even got Brave Bird, perhaps I get Waterfall farm down. However, we're on Shadow Claw, so you should just straight throw the nuke, or at least the neutral move. This opponent manages to give me a free win, and I guess we're just going to say, thank you very much, GG's. Moving on to the next one. Hitmonchan into Virizion. This matchup should be good, right? Especially with access to Ice Punch that will be hitting for super effective. Leaf Blade, one of the best moves in the game, and ouch, that hurt. We're then going to throw 1 counter and the Ice Punch. Ice Punch is going to land for some huge damage, although to be honest, probably about as much as the Leaf Blade did. We build up some energy once again, in case we need it for the end game, and then send out Feraligatr. The opponent fire off the Icy Wind, guaranteeing the debuff. Scald still has a 50% chance, so I think I would have thrown that if I was the opponent, as it does objectively more damage. We throw the Hydro Cannon goes unshielded. The opponent still needs to Scald to secure the knockout. They throw the Icy Wind. I actually don't want to give Virizion any free farm, so I throw the Hydro Cannon, go for a huge undercharge, hoping to get the Poison Sting farm down. However, you're going to see that I played like an absolute potato, and the opponent is going to debuff me regardless. That counter actually knocked me out, so it wasn't even really about giving Virizion free farm. I just wanted to come in, get a running start with Drapion. However, I balls up that play, but we managed to sack Hitmonchan once again, giving Drapion almost 100 energy. We send back out Drapion. At this stage, the opponent can catch. I don't really care. We fire off the first crunch. We know we lose CMPs. We opt to throw the next crunch before the opponent is able to reach the Hydro Cannon. It looks like the opponent putting all their hopes and dreams on the back of Virizion, and this is where Aqua Tail is going to come in clutch. The opponent's Wincon is the fast move beatdown. My Wincon is reaching 3 Aqua Tails. We farm up, reach the double. The first one will be forcing their final Protect Shield. We reach the next one, which is going to be all she wrote. Buffed Aqua Tail coming in clutch. GG's and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle, we see another Poliwrath lead. Poliwrath still very much a top tier meta threat. We farm up, throw the Brick Break on the CMP tie. The opponent actually shield, which makes me feel not so bad about shielding up an Icy Wind. So we've lowered their defense, they've lowered my attacks. These counters are still hitting for neutral. I don't think this Brick Break will quite be lethal, but will leave him low. Brick Break goes unshielded, we then pivot into Drapion, hoping the opponent spams the Icy Wind. They actually show great discipline, hold their energy. However, they throw an Icy Wind regardless. I don't know why you wouldn't Scold. People are so horny for the debuff. Again, we can't Poison Sting farm down. We throw the Aqua Tail, securing the knockout. The opponent then send out Charizard, which is pretty questionable. They've already shown him Aqua Tail. They shield the first debuffed Aqua Tail, and they only throw a Dragon Claw trainer. This isn't going to get the job done. We survive the Dragon Claw, reach one further Aqua Tail, and despite being debuffed, it's still going to do like maybe 40%. Yeah, probably 40%, as the Poison Stings were of course doing something. We then send out Gator. This is enough for a Blast Burn. We're just going to tank whatever they throw. Again, the opponent bait. Then send out Glisserpod. You know what's going to happen. I am so sorry, Hitmonchan. Sorry, buddy. So the win con from here is going to be fairly simple. We've just got to double up on charge moves. 2 Hydro Cannons with the residual Shadow Claws will knock out Gliscopod. Of course, I've still got a Protect Shield, 2 Hide Beyond. We shield up the X-Scissor. We're going to farm up to the double. 1 Hydro Cannon will be knocking out this very annoying bug, getting us some redemption. And this Hydro Cannon is, of course, going to knock out Charizard. And once again, Hitmonchan proves to be the best third shield you can ever spend 700,000 Stardust on. GG's, and thanks for playing. Heading into the next battle. Very, very tough lead. We're going to throw 6 counters, bank the Ice Punch, pivot into Drapion, making yet another very pointless catch. I think it's probably better just to go straight to Drapion, but I like to bank energy on Hitmonchan as we have a high attack and can potentially win CMP at some stage. The opponent then send out Skarmory, double flying, interesting, and this Skarmory is so thick, holy crap. Like I said earlier, 2 crunches, 2 shot, a lot of things in Ultra League. It looks like they'd even survived 3. Wow, what a bulky boy. This is where that banked energy is going to come in clutch, as Hitmonchan certainly won't lose CMP. The opponent has so much energy. We do force a Protect Shield. If I shield once, I'm going to be forced to shield twice. We're just going to sack Hitmonchan once again. I am so sorry, buddy. I promise one day it will be your time to shine. Unfortunately, Brick Break just isn't it. We're going to put it all on Gator. We shield up the Sky Attack. The opponent then pivot out into their own Gator. And this is GG's. There is no way I'm winning this. I throw the Hydro Cannon, checking who wins CMP. We have the higher attack. But regardless of what I do here, I can't shield this up. I could look to throw this instantly and I'd get Dragon Breath farm down. So again, I'm going to farm up, throw on the CMP tie. The opponent definitely don't shield this. They're just going to put it all on Dragonite. Dragonite will come back out. We're going to throw the Ice Beam, hit no bubbles. The opponent literally needs to have a heart attack for me to win this game. They of course shield up. We get Dragon Breath farmed out and save 1 shield for next season. So those were the battles with my level 50.5. Newly Elite TM'd Legacy buffed Shadow Hitmonchan. As you can tell in these battles, it didn't really do all that much. However, if I'm honest, I think it was quite unfortunate with some of the stuff I was seeing. I didn't see a single Greedent all day. What is going on? So I think perhaps it could have play. I was just kind of unlucky with some of the stuff I was seeing. Where's all the Registeel? Registeel's ranked number 1 on PV Poke. We didn't get a line against a Reggie once. But it is what it is. I can't complain. Aqua, I think now certainly has some play in Ultra League. You can see we could still beat Dark types in the Zero Shield. However, Sludge Bomb is just a lot better, especially for nuking stuff like Tapu Fini that I expect to rise as it just got its legacy move. However, the star of the show is Shadow Feraligatr. It's non-XL. If you've got one, certainly build it because it's just a cheat code. As always, a huge thank you to everyone for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.